Far Harbor is Fallout 4's third DLC and first to add a new landmass to the game. You go to Far Harbor in search of a missing girl. Once you get there, it soon changes into much more than that, with 3 factions or groups at each other's throats. The actual town of Far Harbor, a synth colony, and the Children of Atom. I like how the main quest explores more into the synths and also the Children of Atom, who are in the main game but didn't really have any proper quests. The DLC actually has a lot of content, first with the side quests. Although some of them are just like kill and reward quests, some are really fun, and the Vault 118 is probably one of my favourite vault quests in Fallout. The island itself is supposed to be Bethesda's biggest landmass to date, and although it doesn't feel huge, there is a lot of content packed in, like usual Bethesda's like world building. There's so much to do, like in the main game. The radiated fog is a big part of the island, and although it gave a great doom and gloom atmosphere, it was a little annoying. When I just wanted to see the landscape and how good the island looked, but all I could see was fog. There's a few new creatures that inhabit the island, like the angler, the fog crawler, and the gulper. But one of my favourite encounters was with a hermit crab that had a truck for a shell. At the start of the DLC, you can get a new companion called Old Longfellow, who also has a new settlement, which I left him at for the majority of the DLC. He's a cool companion, but I just didn't see the point, especially with the Lone Wanderer bonuses. On the subject of settlements, there is a few new settlements that are added, as well as some new workshop items like barn buildings. Don't worry though, there isn't a Preston Garvey character to shove them down your throat, but you can move in settlers if you would like. There's also some new weapons that include a harpoon gun, a meat hook, a pole hook, a radium rifle, and my favourite, the lever action rifle. Also, there's a few unique items and armours like marine armour and a diver suit. Obviously there's a bunch more, but I can't list them all. If you're interested, there's also a few new perk ranks of some of the existing perks. I had more fun than expected with this DLC, especially after Automatron and Wasteland Workshop. There is a lot of stuff to do in this DLC, and at one point I think I had 8 or 9 quests going at once. Also, there is a lot of interesting characters as you make your way through the main quest, and also some interesting choices that you can make that affect the endgame in a lot of different ways. At some points I also found myself stuck on a lot of occasions about the choices I was going to make and the consequences of each one, which I didn't really feel in the main game with the Institute and the Railroad and the Brotherhood. I also like that you could bring stuff in from the main game of Fallout 4, like you could bring in your companions, you can bring in any companion you want into this DLC and it works. Like a lot of DLCs in New Vegas and Free, you couldn't even do that. And also it changes things depending on what you did in the main quest of the main game. Like, if you're with the Brotherhood, I actually had a quest that let me link the Brotherhood with what was going on in Far Harbor. I'm not sure if you could do that with Railroad or the Institute, but I thought that was quite cool that they actually went around and actually did that. Don't worry about the settlements either. Like, you can make a supply line from the settlements in Far Harbor back to your settlement in the main game, so you can bring all of your screws and all your components back. You can bring them to Far Harbor so you can upgrade the new weapons like the lever action rifle. You can put a suppressor on it and whatnot. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but there was a certain part in the main quest line that felt really out of place, but it didn't feel like it was boring or bad. It felt fun, but it just felt really out of place in the Fallout universe. Like if you play it, you'll understand what's going on. It just didn't feel right. I think that if you enjoyed the main game of Fallout 4, you actually thought it was good. Not amazing. If you enjoyed what you played of Fallout 4, you'll enjoy this content. You'll enjoy this extra content. But if you didn't, I wouldn't really bother. If you really did not like Fallout 4, I just wouldn't buy this, expecting this is going to be the saving grace of the game, because it isn't. The Fallout 4, the main game still has problems, and it does carry over to this DLC. But if you enjoy Fallout 4, you might as well buy this. This is extra content that you'll actually like. I think that once all the DLC comes out for this game, it's actually going to be considered a much better game to the newer players who buy the full edition, like the Legendary Edition or the Game of the Year Edition. Now the game's got the Survival Update, which it should have had at launch, to be honest. If Survival Update came out on launch, that would have made it much more fun. And also the mod support, they're adding console mods, they've got the creation kit, they've got the actual built-in mod support in-game. I actually think that later down the line, in a year or two, this game's actually going to be quite good for new players and such. I keep hearing every now and then about people saying this game does not have a lot of content, but they're comparing it to Fallout 3 and New Vegas that have I think Fallout 3 had 5 DLCs, New Vegas had 4 DLCs, and each one was a new landmass. Well, Fallout 4's DLCs, all of its DLCs haven't come out yet, and when they do, the game might be much better than you think and have much more content than you actually think. Some people could have said the same about Fallout 3 and New Vegas when they first released, but you just didn't compare it back then. I'm not trying to defend Fallout 4. I know it has problems. There's quite a lot of problems with the dialogue on that. And if you don't like that, don't get the DLC. There's a lot of people that don't like it, how Fallout 4's actually made it less RPG and more shooter based. But if you don't like that, just don't get the DLC. Simple as that. I'm not going to rate a DLC, but I'd say if you like Fallout 4, you like the content, just buy this DLC. If you've got the season pass, great. Play the DLC if you like Fallout 4. If you don't, simple don't.